Hey guys, it's Lisa back with another video for you for Lisa Wise Designs. And today we're going to start with part 5 on our Fresh Air mini album. So grab your cutting guide and let's get started. Now, if you're new to this series, if you want to pick up the tutorial or the kit that has all the physical parts that will come straight, all those supplies will come straight to your house, then look at the link in the description box below. And let's get started. All right, so in your cutting guide, we're on page 23 right here in the middle. So we're gonna continue with our matting. So let's grab that chicken paper. I really like this, it's so cute. It says Happy Vibes is the name of this actual paper. It's adorable. Listen, I've never wanted to own chickens or have my own little farm, but this kind of makes me want to. It's so adorable. All right, so on our cutting guide, it says we're gonna cut it down to 6 1/4 tall. 6 1/4 is kind of a tricky one on these boards because it falls right here in this centerpiece. All right, and from this piece of paper, we're gonna cut 3 things. So on the 12-inch side, we're gonna get 1 1/2. Okay. 5 3/4. And 4 3/4. So we're using most of that paper. Well, I guess we're using all of it, huh? That was all of it. I had just a sliver on the bottom on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that off. All right, come out. I might have cut something wrong, but that's okay. All right, so from these pieces, some of these need to be trimmed down a little bit more. So on the 1 1/2 piece to 6-inch tall, yeah, 1 1/2. This one needs to go to 6 inches. So I'm gonna cut 1/4 of an inch off the bottom, and the 5 3/4. Is that this one? No, that's my 4 3/4. But I think that's the one I need to cut down. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, 4 3/4 to 6 inches. Y'all. I'm telling you, I think I've got this mixed up. Hold, please. No. That's right, if I would actually follow my cutting guide. So 4 3/4 piece is going to be 6 inches tall. Okay, so now we have these 3 pieces where this one and this one I've cut down. Now, these 1/4 of an inch pieces, hang on to these because we're fixing to use those. Fixing, don't you love my southern accent? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my ink. Once again, I'm using cookie dough, which I think that's very appropriate in the color of this. I guess it depends on how dark you like your cookies. I'm one of those girls that likes the crunchy edge, so I like mine cooked a little bit more than just maybe the color of this ink. So subjective, isn't it? So one of these we're going to use the opposite side. So I was going to try to make sure I know which one that is before I start inking it all up. So the shorter one here. Sometimes on the back of when I cut, it's kind of got a little sharp edge. It might be because I need a new blade, but sometimes I like to just kind of flatten that out on the back. If you ever have that issue, just take your bone folder, run around the edges, but I think that's my problem. You know us scrapbrokers though, we're gonna use it until we absolutely can't use it anymore. Those things are expensive. All right, so there's my pieces. We're gonna open up our book We're still working here on this front cover. So I am still on page 23 down there at the bottom. So we're going to take this 1.5 inch piece and it is going to go here on this vertical pocket. And then the larger piece here, the 5 3/4, will go on the front of the envelope flap here. Yep, just like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and glue those down. This is my favorite part. I really love the decorating process. I've asked a lot of people in my years, what's their favorite part? Do they like the part where you construct, or do you like the part where you have more freedom in your decorating than the construction part? And it's funny how people are kind of divided 50-50 if they like the decorating part more or the construction more. Now you can leave this down here, or you can take up this piece of tape. I'm gonna go ahead and take that up. The tape, the backing liner. My mother's always told me that she really likes the construction part. So I should just put her to work making albums for me and then give them to me for me to decorate. We'd probably make a good team of that. All right, easy peasy. So this piece, so this was that third piece, that 4 3/4 piece. We're gonna flip that over. We're gonna open up this side here with the photo flaps, because these will not get pattern paper. We're just gonna put photos down there. So this orange piece is going to go underneath this vertical pocket that we just matted, just like so. And that, a picture of that is on the top of page 24. So let's go ahead and glue that into place. I'm just gonna use a dry run here. Is there something under there? There's like a little piece of paper in there. All right, so we'll just glue that in here. Just making sure. Anybody got this glue press that I've been using? Leave me some feedback on that. I'm really enjoying it. But I don't use it the way it's intended in the fact that you're supposed to leave it upside down on the base. I leave it like this on my desk, especially if I'm not walking away or using it pretty much constantly. It does not seem to stop up, which is perfect for me. Now let's do a little decorating. You're going to need a few die cuts, and there's a picture of this on the bottom of page 23. So I've got my little chicken and flower and heart, and then this little die cut that says remember this, another pink flower, and this little seed packet here that's so cute. But first things first, these little strips that we cut off, these 1/4 inch strips, I'm just going to go ahead and take the short one that we cut off the bottom of this 1.5 piece here. Since it's already 1.5 wide, we just might as well go ahead and use it. And I'm gonna put it maybe about 1.5 inches from the top here on top of the vertical pocket. Go ahead and glue that all the way down. Cute, cute, cute. Then on top of that, I'm going to put my little seed packet. Also, let me know if you're using any type of different ink, a different color. I always think that's very interesting to see what other people's choices are. So I'm going to kind of center that off kind of to the right on that little strip. And the last thing I'm going to put on here on this side is just a little pink flower that just kind of brings out the other colors on this side. You can see how I'm bringing in the orange here to put it together, and then bringing in the pinks from here. Right. Just layering that on top. So I'm going to do some of the same thing on this side here, but this I'm going to have to cut down. So what was this one? This is 1 3/4. You could even tear it if that floats your boat. You know I'm a big fan of that. Not as much as some people though. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Put this here. So I'm going to kind of put this one down since this one is more on the vertical side. I'm going to put this one down here toward the bottom just to kind of even it out. I like this side better here. There we go. It's probably about 3/8 of an inch from the bottom there. So I'm just going to keep layering. So I'm going to put this remember this above that orange strip, and then this is going to kind of give my chicken a place to stand. So I put that pretty much flush on the pattern paper to the right. Get my little chicken. So if you do make this, and especially if you decide to take some decorative liberty, I'll say, and do some things differently, yeah, please post it on my Facebook fan page that's linked below. Uh-oh, Chicky. I would love to see that. I'd love to see how we can give each other ideas, creativity, give us that inspiration. All right, chicken. There we go. So I'll keep layering this on. I'm going to take this orange flower and put it kind of down here. Right off the right side of remember this, but not covering up the words. Kind of putting that to an angle using those petals. And then I'm going to put this little aqua blue heart, and that kind of helps bring some more of that color in. Right there. And there's a picture of this on the bottom of page 23. Okay. Anybody else love this part more than, than the actual construction? I can't be the only one. All right, so now we're going to cut some of the dark blue pattern paper, and I am in the middle of page 24. We have got this, isn't this beautiful, this blue? Navy blue and gray are my go-tos for colors to wear, even though I like other colors, just not on me. So I really love this. All right, so we have this piece, and then we're gonna have this piece. So the first one is going to be middle of page 24, cut the dark blue word paper 6 1/4 tall. 6 1/4, and then we're going to cut on that 12-inch side at 5 3/4. And then 1 3/4. Almost messed that one up. I think it's straight though. Yeah. So this is going to go when we open the envelope. Why can't I think of words? It's like words. And then on the inside flap. So this piece we're going to have to cut down to 6 inches tall, and then we're going to have to corner round it. Let's cut this one down. You can always cut off, right? That's why I start with the largest piece to cut all the way across, and then we can trim these down. Kind of difficult though to add back, and frustrating. I will say that. So grab whatever size corner rounder you're using. I'm using a 1/2 inch, and we are going to corner round on the right side here on this long strip. So this is going to go on the inside of that envelope. There we go. So I'm going to put these to the side so we can glue all at the same time. And now we're going to grab this little icon blue paper that's called Grow Memories here. Once again, we're doing 6 1/4 tall. And we're cutting to 6 1/4. So that's going to be a square, and then 4 3/4. Put this in my little scrap pile. Oh, let me go ahead and do the trimming down. So the 4 3/4 we need to trim down to 6 inches. So this 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 is going to go in the center of the other 2 papers that we just cut, the ones with the words. And then this 4 7 5, this 4 3/4 piece, we're going to flip over. So you still got that little bit of a ridge part here on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of that one, since I know I'm going to use this side. That is so pretty, plaid. Lid here on my ink. Here's all my pieces. All right, so now we open our book. Here, let's open up the little chicken. And so this is how this will lay out. I am in the middle of page 24 if you're following along in your cutting guide. This goes here, and then this here. I love it. All right, so we just glue these into place. Okay, looks like I did not need to trim this one down, but that's okay. I will live. I think I may put that little piece that I cut off on here. I wonder if I could recut this one. Yeah, I've got enough. I could recut that one because that is going to bother me. Sorry about that. So this one is 1 3/4. Is that right? Yep. 1 3/4. Much better. Always follow your cutting guide, right? I just get in too big of a hurry. That's my issue. You ever like make a speech in front of people and your teacher tells you to slow down, slow down? That's kind of my issue. And always has been. So forgive me. Okay, so now let's glue this one down. I am going to take the backing off this tape here. So cute. Really like this navy. So who would have known you could mix and match these darker colors with these lighter colors for a spring summer album, but I really like that. It's so cute. That's really going to be cute too when we put our clear pocket here, but that comes later on. So we're going to adhere this piece, this 475 piece, to the back cover under the pocket here. So let's flip over, move my photo flaps here. So here is your piece I, your pocket, and here's your piece E. And so this is going to go just like so. That's so pretty. It kind of reminds me of a man's shirt, but in a good way, right? Maybe what, Van Heusen shirt. Anybody know what that reference? Those shirts that you can find at Belk and some other places. My grandmother worked for many, many years in the shirt factory at Van Heusen. And for Christmas, we would get, the men would get nice shirts or ties. The girls would get pajamas or slips. Does anybody even wear slips anymore? And they're kind of built into dresses, aren't they? Anyway, I digress. If you don't like my anecdotes, I'm sorry. I have to fill the time, right? I hate dead air. So now we're going to be at the top of page 25, and we're going to work with the light blue paper that has the words on it. Let's see what that one's called. This is called Fresh Start. This is really, really pretty. Let's grab a cutting trimmer. Trimming off the bottom as always in this album. And we need, surprise, surprise, 6 1/4 tall. And then we need 5 1/4. And 1 1/2. This in my scraps. Trim down the 1/2 inch piece to 6 inches tall. Will do. Okay, so we're gonna ink this up. Also, I'm interested to know if you like doing all the steps with me, or if you'd rather just have the cutting guide that gives you the details on how to mat. If it was me, I'd probably just mat on my own and just follow along with the instructor on how to build the project, you know, how to do that construction. But some people may love this. Not sure. All right, so let's glue here. Okay, so right where on the back cover with the butterfly vertical pocket is, we're going to put this blue here, and then on top of this vertical pocket, we're going to put the blue here so it kind of carries over. So I like mixing and matching pattern paper, but if you get too many pattern papers in one area, it starts to look really choppy, if that's the right word. So I really enjoy, you know, making some of these things not so piecemealed, like having things transfer over, if that makes sense. Just like, see your butterfly paper here, and then your blue here, and then you break it up with this little man plaid shirt on this side. There we go. It's a lovely day. Burnish that down. So now we're going to get to probably my favorite paper in this pack, is pink paper. It's called Smile and Enjoy. Thought it was going to say Smile and Wave. So we need to cut it 2 pieces at 6 by 6. That's easy. Pink has always been my favorite color since I was a child. But I can't wear pink. It just does not go with my skin tone as I'm getting older. So I look better in this navy, but I do buy a lot of accessories, purses, things like that with pink. All right, so there's our pink papers. We'll put those to the side and we'll ink it all together. We're going to cut the chickens. So this should be what you have left over of this flower paper, this little chicken, and it says love and stuff here. Even though we've cut off some of it, it's still really, really cute to use in our book. So we're just gonna cut right at the end of this 4x4 piece and go all the way down and keep this all intact. So let's see if I go over to 4. Let's see, is that gonna cut exactly where I want? Yep. Sorry, I know I go back and forth between using the bottom and the top of my trimmer. It's just who I am. I'm more comfortable cutting at the bottom, but it only goes to 6 inches. So I go back and forth between top and bottom. I know, I get made fun of. So while we have this here, we're gonna cut a slit right along the line here, okay? So we're going to cut a 2.5 inch slit on that line. We're gonna start and end about 3/4 of an inch from the sides. So I'm gonna move this here, grab my ruler. I'm gonna come over 3/4 of an inch. That would be about right here. Right there. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we do have a tag we're gonna put in here. So if you cut it where you have a 2.5 inch opening, it will work. Okay, so that's right at 2.5 inches in the center. So you can use a ruler and a cutting knife, but I can easily do this with my trimmer. Just making sure I line this line up right here in the little ditch where it cuts. And then I'm going to start right in the center and then come down to where my little trim mark is. Pick it up and just holding it in place when I'm picking it up to see if it cut kind of where I wanted to. It went just a teensy bit over on both sides, and that's perfectly fine. That's kind of what I wanted here. Okay, and now let's do some inking on the edges. I can't wait to see what you all decide kind of pictures you're going to put in here. I don't have a lot of spring pictures unless they're specifically Easter related. I seem to have lots of fall and Christmas and even summer vacation pictures, but not a lot of like spring, early summer. But we just had this photo session done of my daughter and granddaughter where they're painting, throwing paint on each other, just having a great time. It's got a lot of close-up shots of their face, and they're just giggling and laughing. And it's outside, even though it's got a studio look to it. And I just think it's so cute, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna print, 40 pictures or so off, make some of them, on the smaller end, like 2x3s, most of them 4x6s, and just see how many I can get in there. And that will be part of this video series, is actually putting my pictures in with you. So I'm just going to try to ink between like top and bottom of where the slit is. So my fingers are probably going to look like cookie dough. You can see, yeah, you can see it really good here on the pink. Now we're going to be at the top of page 26. And using some of the white papers that you have left over, I'm going to pick these little pieces up here and put them in a different tray with pattern paper. And I have the tray here of just white paper. Should have 3 of these left over if you didn't miscut. All we're going to need really is 1 sheet, and then you'll have a couple sheets extra if you want to do some more matting. We're going to cut 2 pieces of scrap cardstock at 3/4 of an inch by 6. 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to trim these down to 6. then we're going to use what's left of this white, and we're going to cut a mat at 4 1/4. Okay, 4 1/4 by about 5, and look at me, see I'm having to go up at the top, by 5 3/8. So that's just, excuse me, a little shy of 5 1/2. You can always lay your little chicken paper down on the white and see how much you need to cut. Now see, look at that. Oh, that's because my chicken paper is too tall. I only want to cut this chicken paper down. I don't want that much green at the top. So I'm going to cut that down to about where the top of that pink is. Or I could just lay it down here and make a mark. I'll tell you how much I'm going to cut off. I'm cutting off a little bit more than 1/4 inch. Just don't want to see that much green. Okay, and then my mat will be perfect for that. Put this in my scraps. I have a boss at work, and she has chickens for fun, is what she calls them. Which I'd never heard of that. Didn't know people had chickens for fun. And so she has 2 ducks, and she bought a kid's swimming pool, and then she has half a dozen or so chickens, because she says she has a lot of eggs, which, hey, in this day and age with the egg prices, she is doing really good. She takes them and gives them away at work. I think it's so cute, the pictures that she has of it. So she's an empty nester. So is that what you're supposed to do when your kids won't get out of the house? Do you get chickens? I have a funny story from my last international trip that I took in March, but I'll have to get in that in just a minute. Okay, so what are we doing here? So I'm going to put this to the side. I'm at the top of page 26, and now we finally get to play with some of our washi tapes. So you had 5 washi tapes that came into your kit, and so now we're going to take this pink floral one. Isn't that pretty? All right. And we're going to roll it on these white pieces that we just cut, if I can find the ends to it. Let me get my black paper out here. I can kind of see what I'm doing. And we're just going to roll it right down the center of these 2 pieces, and we're going to use this as a border instead of using pattern paper as a border. It's another way to use your washi tape. But we went to Greece in March, and our travel agent just told us these funny stories about people, and in their culture, she says, if you're ever bored or you have empty nest syndrome, that people recommend that you get a goat because a goat takes so much work. I'm like, okay, why don't you just get a dog? She says, you know, the goat you have to walk, and then you have to milk it, and then you have to make something with the milk, right? So you have to make cheese with that, and so then you're going to have so much cheese that you can't use all of it, and you can't give all of it away. So then you have to go to market fairs and, like, you know, peddle the cheese that you make. It was just so funny. I was just like, okay, I get it. You need a hobby when you retire. Oh, you have empty nest syndrome. Maybe I'll just stick with the scrapbooking. Okay, I'm not up for like walking the goat a few times a night. All right, here we go. Isn't that just really, really cute? You could put it straight down on your project, which we'll do a couple places, but since it's so transparent, this one with that white backing, it looks really good. It pops on this white paper. And it's a good way to use up our scraps, right? Okay, now let's start building some of these pieces, top of each other, here. So we're in the middle of page 26, back cover, inner flaps. So let's move these photo flaps open. Let's open this. So this is kind of where we are here. We've got these smaller photo flaps in the center, and so then you've got these two larger ones out to the side. So that's the one that we're working on. All right. We're going to take our pink, and we're going to lay those down on top of those E flaps, just like that, and glue those into place. So far, easy peasy. Yeah, that lady had a lot of funny stories. I guess she had to fill a lot of dead air as we were on the tour bus going around to different places. Learned a lot about their culture, a lot about retiring, I guess, because that was her age demographic that's on the bus. So my friend and I, Megan, go on these tours, and we're usually the youngest people on the tours, and I just turned 50, and she's like 33-ish, I think. So we usually get called the girls. Anyone seen the girls? Where are the girls? The girls are late. That's usually what they say to us. All right, so we're now still on 26. We put down the pink, and so on the right flap, we're going to put one of the strips that we made down here, about 1/2 inch from that right edge. This is going to anchor the things that we're going to put on top, which I think is just going to be a photo mat, if I remember correctly. But that will help anchor that down into place and add some color. Right, so when you want to put your photo down either this way or this way, put it here like that. Okay. Oh no, this is where we put the little library pocket. See, I'm all excited and I'm the one that that made it. Let's take a little sneaky peek. Oh yeah, see, this is where we put the little library pocket and put the little slit here. So let's find our library pocket. Got our little handy dandy thing here. And so I told this before, but this is, I got from Target or TJ Maxx, one of those places. Yeah, this is TJ Maxx, but I've seen them at Target. And it was about $6, and it was in the kitchen section where you would put it in your pantry, and you would put dry packets like gravy packets or, you know, seasoning, chili seasoning. Those packs that you get are about this big, so it works perfectly with these items that I have here. Let's see, it's like manila color library pocket. So just pay close attention to where to put the glue on here, because we're going to put something behind the pocket later on, so we don't want to put glue all over the total pocket on the back. All right. So we're not going to put glue here. We're going to put glue right around the very edges of everything, and then about 1 inch from the bottom. So there's a picture of this at the bottom of page 26. So about 1 inch from the bottom, I'm going to put glue. And then I'm going to put glue around the very edges, like so. Okay, so this big piece in the center here is going to have no glue. All right. So glue on the bottom, about 1 inch. And then glue all the way around. Oh, the sides, see? I better look at my instructions. Around the very side. So there's no glue here because we're going to slip something down in there. So this big section in the center here will have no glue. All right, so adhere the library pocket about 1/4 inch from the bottom, overlapping this washi strip. So about like that. Isn't that cute already? So cute. So I'm going to check it and make sure that this yellow tag that's in your kit. It's about 3 1/8 wide, and that's going to go here. And then we're going to have something smaller that's going to go in the back here. But you can see where this is open from here to about right there. So, yeah, about like that. All right, so let's finish decorating this right side here. So still on page 27, so the butterfly paper, the leftovers, if you turn it on the back, you've got this olive green with the daisies on it. So we're going to use that. And we're going to cut a mat for this library pocket. And that mat is 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So if I can get 3 1/4 out of this vertically, yep, 3 1/4. Uh-oh, should have done 3 1/2. That's okay. 3 1/2, 3 1/4, 3 1/2. There we go. I picked this paper because I really needed to bring out some of this olive that's on, you know, this side of the butterflies, and that's in the leaves. And there's also some yellow dots right in the center. Maybe kind of hard to see on the screen, but there's yellow dots in the center of the flowers, and we're going to use a yellow tag, and that'll help bring out those colors. So easy peasy, we're just going to mat the bottom of this tag just like so. We'll finish up this side and the other pink side, and then we'll take a break. And this video is a little bit longer, and maybe you like those. I kind of like a little bit longer videos. You never know who your audience likes. Okay, so to add some more color here, and another way to use our washi tape, I'm going to use this one, the dark blue background. That'll help bring out some more of those colors, and we'll use some die cuts to bring in some more of those darker colors. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place it right over the top piece of this library pocket. I'm going to center it, make it say "Smile Today," kind of. And I'm just going to cut it with my finger. I don't think it has to be oh so perfect on this piece. You can trim it if you want, but I think it's okay for it to be a little rough. I think that's cute. All right, where's my bone folder? Here we go. And you're only going to see this when the tag is out. Okay, so let's keep adding onto this. So I've got 3 die cuts. I've got one of the swags. You have 2, I think, in your die cut packet. I have what I'm calling a moth. I'm thinking that's what it is. This little yellow and pink piece. And then a yellow bird sitting on top of a little branch. Just going to add some color to the edges there. I love the noise that makes. So I'm going to take the swag and I'm going to go from the top of the green floral piece where it's on the manila library card. I'm going to get it out in a minute. I'm going to put that kind of on those edges right there. Just right there at the top edges of the manila card. Glue that down in this place. I don't know if it's my age. Do I need some ginkgo? I don't know. Sometimes words just have a hard time finding their mark these days. So the bird I'm going to put in the lower left corner here. Of course, I don't want him to poke out of my book, so I'm just going to kind of manipulate him until I get him kind of where I want him, like in the corner, covering up as much as I can and put him as far down as I can without going over. Now I sound like The Price is Right. Don't go in over. And without getting glue everywhere. And then I thought we needed some more color over here, so I just chose this moth to help bring in these yellow pieces. Now we're going to put in our tag. So you have the yellow tag in your packet, and it is 3 1/8 by 6 1/4. And so we are going to cut off 3/4 of an inch off the bottom so that it fits right in our pocket. So now it should be 3/8 of an inch wide by 5 1/2. So for now, the only thing we're going to do to our tag is we're going to add our ribbon. All right, back to my little pieces here. I've got my white ribbon. Okay. So I'm going to need about 8 inches of this ribbon. We'll use this white ribbon again on the outside of our album. Okay. So cut off about 8 inches. Keep the rest for the album. Okay, what I like to do is fold in half, place it in the front of the opening, and then use a little pokey tool and poke it to the back. So now you have a loop on the back and 2 tails on the front. Put those tails in the loop and just pull it as tight as you want it to be without ripping your hole out, which, hey, I'm a brute, I've done it. Believe me. Especially on one that didn't have a reinforcer. So that's going to go in here, and we're going to come back and make something for the back of the pocket. Isn't that cute so far? I know it's kind of washed out on screen, but these yellows really work well together in real life. Promise, promise. All right, so let's finish up on this page. We're going to go over to the other pink, is this plaid? I don't know, page. I'll fold this one over. So now let's work on the left-handed side one. So you have that other piece that we made that has the washi tape on it. So in this one, make sure you look on the top of page 28. When we flip it over, we're going to come over about 1 1/2 inches on the right side with no glue. So about 1 1/2 inches, because we're going to make this a small belly band on one side. So about 1 1/2 inches. So right here, no glue. Now we are going to put it on the very edge, but not on top and bottom and not over. So there's a good picture of this, like I said, on the top of page 28, but we're going to put glue all over the left side. Okay, that's going to glue all the way down. But on this right side, 1 1/2 inches in, we don't want any glue on the top bottom because it's going to be a belly band, but we want some at the very, very edge to hold it down on the page. Okay. So we're going to go about 1/2 inch from the bottom of the page, about like so. Glue this down into place. So now you have the makings of a really small belly band in this little area here. So let me grab something tiny right here. So you have this little area right here that's open. Right. Okay, so let's get our chicken. Chicken. This again, you need to watch the glue placement because we are going to have this slit, right? We want to make sure we have the glue in the right spot. So let me find it. So we're on the middle of page 28. We'll flip over the chicken. We're going to put glue all over the top. Here's our little slit right here. So no glue here, like this big rectangle here. No glue. We're going to put glue all the way around the edges and glue on the top above the slit, but nothing here in this rectangle piece. That way things can slip down on the other side and can rest right here. There's a picture in the middle of page 28. So, all right. So glue all the way around the edges, and then on top, all right, let me wipe some of this off here that's got over. Don't want anything right there. I'm going to put it on my white sheet of paper. And center that. Get the glue off my hands, and then I'm just going to make sure that I kind of pucker this up from the bottom. Make sure that there's enough space for my tag here while it's gluing. I don't glue it into place because crazier things have happened. Right? So now my little chicken piece is going to go more toward the left-hand side and then overlapping the little strip that we did here, because this is the piece, right, that has the openings, remember? And we're going to use that kind of as a little belly band. So make sure that you're about 1/4 of an inch away on the left-handed side. So now you can put glue all over this one. Maybe that's the last time you have to really watch your glue placement, but don't quote me. Don't quote me. Yeah, I think I like it right there. I hope I'm showing you different ways to look at your pattern paper, different little techniques like this. So instead of centering this, giving you a little spot right here where we can add some die cuts. And it's just fun to have little things to pull out of your album. We're going to pick a die cut and put it here, and then we're going to take a break until the next video. So what I did is I took this tag that comes in your kit. Come on, Lisa, get it out. I'm going to put the pink ribbon into it the same way, and then we're going to put the little flower here. All right, so the flower that I have, I think it's a daffodil. Is that what this is? Little yellow flower here, and I picked this one because it's got a small footprint on the bottom that we can put down in there. So I don't mean literal footprint, right? It's just smaller at the bottom. I guess that's a manufacturing term. See how cute this is? You can put little things here that can come in and out, but we'll start with that there. And then the white tag, that's 2 3/8 by 4 3/4. We don't have to cut it down, and we don't have to cut down our ribbon. It's already about 8 inches. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video, even though I've gone a lot longer today, but I was having so much fun. I think I just lost track of time. And come back for the next set of videos. This is my favorite part, like I said. It's just so much fun getting to do the pattern paper, and then we'll put some pictures in there, and then we'll talk about what's next for the videos. Just trimming those up, ruffling them out, and I put this here. All right, now I made sure I didn't glue you down. This is going to sit right here for now. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you back here in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.